So Austin, I know a lot of people probably have this question. You can provide a lot of insight into it, and it's around pricing, right? More specifically, how should someone price based on their business, right? Because obviously somebody who's just getting started probably needs different tips on pricing as opposed to someone like yourself who's been in the business a long time. What do you suggest for people on pricing, and how should they approach pricing jobs?
Good question. And that's kind of something that's daunting for a lot of people. Like, how do I go on there and price and, price to where I can get something accepted and then I can do the business and fulfill what I'm there to do, right?
Yeah.
I think it depends who you're asking, because if you're just getting started, like last night you made the decision, I want to start a power washing business and I want to go out there and do this. Like, how do I price my jobs for the opportunities I get that week? I would say, look, don't really focus on what other people are charging online. Like, just because you saw a video of me and we're doing a $2,500 roof cleaning, that doesn't mean you go to your neighbor and say it's $2,500, because that's has to be one of the number one or number two questions I get all the time. Personal DMs, Facebook, in our paid program is, how do I price this job? I was like, okay, look, I'm going to give you my price. That does not mean you form that in an estimate and send that to your customer. If you're looking for my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion on my company, all that good stuff, and do with that with what you will. But that is not how you should price your jobs. And so if I'm talking to someone who's brand new, look, someone wants their driveway cleaned. You have a $500 power washer and a surface cleaner, and that's what you got. You just got started. Really quickly, guys, before we get back to the video, I want to talk to you guys about my 6-figure pressure washing program. If you guys are watching this video, you guys are trying to figure out your pricing, try to figure out how this whole pressure washing business works. Maybe you're thinking about lighting, Christmas lighting, gutters, windows, house washing, the whole business, right? We've been doing this for the last 6 years. I think I got a good handle on how this business works. And if you guys want to, learn a bit more from me, I'd love to help you guys out. I've been posting content on YouTube for the last 3 years. I have a bunch of free content. So of course, go surf my channel, find a bunch of content. I have all kinds of helpful videos. But if you guys want a bit more further help from me, I do have a 6-figure pressure washing program. Hundreds of people have gone through the program and are having some pretty awesome results. It's a 70 video course, 6-hour training module program. You guys go through the whole thing. I teach you everything about equipment, washing, customers, how to get customers, how to talk to customers, sales, and marketing and lead generation, the whole 9 yards. We also do weekly Zoom calls. So we're gonna have one today, which is Wednesday at about 7 p.m. So I'd love to see you in the live call. I'd love to see you in the program. Of course, you guys can cancel the program at any time you want. I try to make it so where you guys get the best deal out of the program, right? And of course, if you guys get your value, you guys can get out of the program completely fine with me. At the end of the day, this is my product, my offering for the whole YouTube world out there. So of course, I'd love to see you in the program. It's gonna be the first link in the description. But other than that, let's get back to the video. Don't focus on too much what other people are charging. You have to do something that's going to separate yourself. You have no reviews, no website, no nothing. Someone gave you the opportunity probably because they see you and they like you and they want to give you the business. Don't shoot yourself in the foot with pricing. Look, if it's going to take you if it's going to take you 2 hours to do, analyze how long something is going to take you to do. I think what it's going to cost you to actually do that is a factor. But when you're just getting started, you have barely no expenses. You're probably uninsured, which is okay. For a first couple of weeks, if you're just doing some basic cleaning, that's another thing I get hammered on. Is like, you're out there, no insurance. Like, look, you're just doing concrete cleaning. It's okay. You're trying to figure out if you want to do this business or not.
Right.
So if you want to go out there for 2 hours and power wash your driveway and charge $200, look, that's great. Sounds great to me. Is it something that I would do for $200 if it takes me 2 hours? No, because I have a lot of expenses and it does not make feasible sense. Our guys are paid by their performance. Meaning they get a percentage of the job. They're not going to want to work for $200, right? So it's just different. If you're a one-man show and you see someone that has a concrete cleaning for $200, or that's good money for one person.
Yeah. My philosophy on this, and again, I don't actually pressure wash, but I get to see and listen to lots of conversations from, as you're well aware, like when we run Google Ads, we set up call recordings, so we get to listen to these calls, we get to listen to these interactions. My thought process is if you're a newer business, almost charge low enough to get away with it, right? To do volume, to get customers, to get more word of mouth referrals, to get more reviews. Because the last thing you want to do is shoot your foot. Now, like, I think a good rule of thumb is like if you start getting booked out, like if I call you and you're a week, 2 weeks booked out, yeah, it's probably time to start increasing your prices, right? But when you're new, you don't necessarily want to go for that. And I wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of times I see guys post in groups, what should I charge for this job? And you'll see everything like, oh, my minimum's 400. I wouldn't get out of my truck for 300, whatever the number is. And you have to make that decision for your business. The other thing to consider, guys, is that what is your brand command as the price? So like one of the services that we do is we design websites. And I tell guys all the time, that's going to play out. Like just getting a really good website is going to help you with not only your close rate, but your average ticket, right? Because if somebody finds you and they look up a pressure washing company near me, if they land on your website, they're going to have a preconceived notion of the caliber of company that you are and how much that you might actually charge, right? So, there's nothing wrong with building your own website on Wix, especially when you're first getting started. Like, don't hire a big company to build you an awesome website, but understand that if you kind of have one of these like low quality self-built websites and you show up and try to quote a roof for $2,500, it's not going to be congruent, right? Like your brand doesn't match the price. Now, for Austin's company, for example, if I called you to come out and give me a roof wash, you guys have 500 plus Google reviews. You guys have a stellar website. You guys have this massive brand reputation. I already have an understanding of the caliber of company. I see all the trucks. I see all the fancy shirts, the wraps, all that stuff. So I already have an understanding. But if you're, just getting started or you're newer in business, like you're not going to have that brand notoriety to be able to come out and command a better price, especially if you're not strong in sales, right? Now, if you're strong in sales, maybe you can get away with it. But that's like my philosophy on it.
Yeah, so it just depends who we're talking to. So if you're brand new out there and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I start do this pricing deal? Understand that there's a lot more benefit that comes from just getting the customer than just the dollar amount that comes with that customer on the initial yes that you get. That's what I talk about in our program too, is like it's a much, how to price pressure washing jobs. When you're first getting started, you need to focus on getting the customer, because the customer is going to be there with you in your CRM. They're going to get remarketed to. You're going to talk to them. There's all different kinds of services that come through at the whole seasons of the year that's relevant, especially if you're living in the Northeast. You have snow, you have fall. Here in Texas, we don't, it's kind of like all over the place. But there's so much value to having a customer in your CRM. So when you're first getting started, I talk about this in my program, there's two different types of people out there. Like you said, there's the guys that are like, oh, I won't get out of my truck for $500 unless I'm getting this much. Fine. If you want to be like that, cool. And those guys can have success too. But my philosophy on it is like, dude, when you're first getting started, work on getting every single customer. I don't care if you're going out there and doing a small front patio for free even. I mean, you get the customer, right? And so, because then we can look at a whole year's worth of time for one guy who spent the time and not too much focus on the price, just focus on getting the business, focus on getting the customer. Yeah. In a year's time versus the guy who said like, oh, look, it's going to be $500-$600, even though they have nothing on the side, they have no reputation or anything. He's going to get a lot more no's than the first guy's going to get yeses. Yeah. So in a year's time, you might have accumulated like 75 or 100 customers versus the guy who maybe got a dozen or so. Yep. And so and then how much power is that at scale when you do your remarketing too? Like here, like we've been in business like almost 7 years. We have 3,500 clients. And so like we're going to talk about this on another video, but like our marketing, we don't have to spend that much on marketing that much. I mean, Google ads, yeah, sure. We throw a couple $1,000 at that. But there's no, like, we can just send a simple text message to all of our clients, which we just did on Christmas Light, and receive 150 calls.
Nothing to do that.
It costs me nothing. A simple, I think it's like 10 cents a text that we're paying. Right. And so, like, that's the beauty of the service business is that reoccurring in that customer base. So, and it's imperative when you're first getting started and you're worrying about how to price, think about the long game. Think about where you're at 5 years from now. If you just focus on getting your customers, you have something that's really cool when you're first getting started. You have the ability, because you do not have that much expenses. Yeah. You cannot, like with us, we can't go out and do a job for $200. So there's going to be guys that we get beat by, because there's always going to be a customer out there that says, well, this guy can do it for $200. Fine. Yep. Hire that guy. I'm actually happy for that guy. Yeah. But when you're first getting started, you don't have those expenses. Scoop up those customers. There's a lot of customers out there that are price shoppers. And they'll hire you, and great, you get a customer for life.
Well, and the thing is you'll learn a lot about your business. And so, like, for example, for us being, a pressure washing marketing agency, we're very selective with who we work with. And we have some parameters that we set. And one of those is really, how much work have you done? Because a lot of guys think that their issue in their business, and for some of you it might be, for the vast majority, it's probably a close rate, some other issues that you need to work out. A lot of people think that their issue is leads, right? And so when somebody comes to us and, the guy who's only done 40 jobs in a year because he's higher price, as opposed to the guy who's done 150 jobs because he's doing a lot of free work, doing a lot of cheap work, I would rather work with that guy because he's worked out a lot of kinks in his business. He's had a lot more at-bats on how to deliver estimates and close at a higher ticket, and how to upsell, how to build rapport, how to use a CRM, his equipment breaking. Like, there's so many things that repetition of high volume, even if it's at a lower price. And that's the great thing is, like, now when you're part-time or you're newer, you can get away with that. You don't have to grand slam the big sales. You don't have a team of employees and trucks with insurance and big marketing budgets and all of these things. Like, you should really be going for the volume, in my honest opinion. So, that's my take on it. Is I can tell you, and Austin his view might vary a little bit, if I were to sell my marketing company tomorrow and I were to start a pressure washing company with the experience I have, I can tell you with certainty for the first couple months, I would be lucky if I broke even. I would be doing as many jobs as possible to get my name out there, to get those reviews that are worth their weight in gold, and start building up my contact list of word of mouth referrals, because that is what's going to set my business up for the future, for the slow season, for years to come. Like, those are the things that matter. And when I see guys, who fail out of business in their slower months, it's because they didn't build that up, right? Their other parts of their business are missing.
Yeah, so just kind of put a closure on this. I can kind of get into the nitty gritty on pricing, like the 20 cents per square foot, the 50 cents, and all these like different parameters on pricing. But chances are, if you click on this video, you're wondering how to price pressure washing jobs. So you probably aren't in that point of your business where like you're actually trying to get to that point. You're just trying to focus on like, what should I charge?
Yeah.
And so I think the answer to that question is like, look, obviously there's a point in time where you shouldn't be doing things for free. But just focus on getting every single customer, because these customers are, like you said, they're worth their weight in gold. So, go in there and get the work. Analyze, like, how long something's going to take you. This is what we talk about in our program. How long is this set job going to take you? Okay, great. 2 hours. How much is it going to cost you? You probably have no expenses, barely anything, maybe a couple, some chemicals and whatnot, 20, 30 bucks. And charge a fair amount, $7,500 an hour. That's great work. Chances are that you're making more than you were at your part-time job. $100 an hour sounds great to me. If I'm a one-man band and I have nothing, I created a $100 an hour job from literally nothing, right? And go in there and charge that. Now, obviously, at scale, you start getting expenses. Different things get factored in, and now we have different scales of pricing jobs. 20 cents per square foot, house washing, and all the different stuff, which you can find. It's very easy, and you can kind of form your own pricing. But even then, everyone has their own different pricing based on the level of their business, their expenses, their employees, how they pay their employees, how long it takes them, their level of efficiency and their equipment, and their rough, wherever they live too. I live in a very affluent and expensive area. I mean, apartments are $2,500 a month. Yeah, it's expensive, right? So that is a factor. And I get a lot of people coming back. I'm like, Austin, how are you charging that much? Dude, it's Austin, Texas is like another Los Angeles, but we're in Tampa here, so it's different. So there's like a pressure washing company in every corner. So it's different. So definitely analyze your market, figure out where the average pricing is. And if you're going to charge higher than average pricing, then you better be delivering that high value too, and what we talked about in a different video.
Well, and I think that just to leave this off, I think it's all going to come down to value, right? And you and I talked about this in a previous video where, your price is going to be predicated on how you can build value, right? And so if you can build a lot of value, a lot of homeowners, at least this is how I make purchases on home services, is I care less about the price. I care more about the value. I care more about the quality, the interaction, the company itself. And so by focusing on that, the price will come with time as you learn how to build value and the services that you're providing. But you're only going to get that when you get a bunch of at-bats, a lot of repetitions, because you're willing to cut to close, if you will. So
yeah.